Who is the basketball GOAT? Guys, if you've watched my Kobe Bryant video and Michael Jordan video, you know where I stand with this. Personally, I don't think this particular player is supposed to even be in this debate, but here we are. His media cohorts keep talking about it, so I guess we have to check it out today and see what this video has to say about it. Do all that good stuff, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Let's get right into it. When you are good at something, you tell everyone. When you are great at something, they'll tell you. That is a nice quote. Walter Petson. Is that a basketball player? Opinion, obviously. The definitive GOAT analysis.
Jordan versus LeBron. LeBron versus Jordan. It's a debate that has captured the public's attention for the last several years, especially after this moment in 2016, when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors to win the third championship of his career. In LeBron's own words,
"That one right there made me the greatest player of all time." That's what I felt.
What?
I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
but did it? Is everything since that moment simply icing on LeBron's cake? Or is LeBron destined to finish his career in Michael Jordan's shadow? We've all heard the arguments from LeBron supporters.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more durable.
And
This is the thing. This is not an argument. He's bigger, he's stronger. Yeah, he's faster. I would give him that. He's more durable. True. I mean, LeBron is like a cyborg. He has never actually been injured, except recently, as he has gotten a bit older. But before 3 years ago, the guy was basically like a machine, a robot. He never got injured. So I give, and I know Nick Wright also. Nick Wright is a LeBron. I don't want to use the word that is in my head now, but you know what I mean.
from Jordan supporters.
Michael Jordan was merely 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals.
But the GOAT debate isn't as simple as the pundits make it seem. There are a number of factors relevant in determining the greatest basketball player of all time. In fact, I would say there are 5 things that really matter in determining the GOAT of any sport. These criteria are, in no particular order, accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and what we'll refer to in this video as the eye test.
Which is where I stand.
And to be the GOAT, you don't need to be the best in any specific category, but you need to be pretty good across the board. So simply winning 7 championships, like Robert already did, isn't enough to get you into the conversation.
Obviously.
When we're finished with this video, it'll be plainly obvious that one guy comes out on top. But before we get started, I want to clarify that this is not a comparison of legacies. It's about who was the better basketball player. If we were talking about legacies, Jordan's is nearly untouchable. Not only did he lead basketball to global popularity, he helped transform Nike into an empire, changed the way players played and how they dressed, and he even made it cool for guys to be bald. And while those things certainly contribute to MJ's iconic
Look at this
they
statue.
don't make him a better player on the court. So let's evaluate the criteria that matter, and we'll start with individual accomplishments. Take a look.
Whoa!
Jordan had more regular season MVPs, twice as many finals MVPs,
What
9
the
more
hell?
scoring titles, and several more selections to the NBA's All-Defensive team, including once being named Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron has
Well, he has
more
played
All-Star
more-
appearances, but that's largely due to his having played more seasons. In fact, when taking into account retirements and major
I don't even know why this is even a debate. It's ridiculous. Seriously. I know I'm a Kobe fan, so LeBron has more accomplishments than Kobe. I accept that. But like I said, I'm more of the eye test guy. I watch the game and I look at it like, I mean, I don't really see anything really special about this guy outside of his physical gifts. That is just it.
injuries, Jordan essentially played 13 seasons compared to 17 seasons for LeBron.
20 now.
Making Jordan's significant lead in accomplishments all the more impressive. And that's to say nothing of MJ's brilliant college career, which saw him twice named All-American and once awarded College Player of the Year, at a time when the country's best players actually went to college. So regardless of whether you're a LeBron fan or MJ fan, you have to give the accomplishments checkmark to Jordan. The second criteria in our GOAT analysis is longevity. And this one is also a no-brainer, but this time in favor of LeBron.
It's not even close.
Not only has LeBron played more seasons in the league, but he's had a longer peak than Jordan. Jordan's peak lasted about 10 years, whereas LeBron's peak has lasted 16 years and is still going. And he's been incredibly durable during that time, missing significant time to injury only in 2019. That said, the claim that LeBron has been much more durable than Michael has been a bit overblown.
I mean,
Consider that Jordan played in at least 80 regular
Okay, yeah,
season
that is
games
true.
11 times
Wow.
in his career, including all 82 games an incredible
Wow,
9 times.
okay.
Compare that to LeBron, who played in at least 80 regular season games just twice, and in all 82 games just once.
okay.
So both LeBron and Jordan get high marks for their durability. But durability aside, the bottom line is that LeBron has sustained his level of excellence for a much longer period of time than Jordan, which puts the longevity checkmark squarely
Yeah.
in LeBron's corner.
I accept that one.
That brings us to the third GOAT criteria, winning. As we all know, Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron has won 3. Jordan is 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron is 3-6. Yes, LeBron has made the finals 9 times compared to only 6 times for Jordan, but let's not pretend that making
He
the
played in
finals,
the weak East. Some of the weakest Eastern conference. Some of the weakest conferences, like in a particular period of time. Like at least since I started following the issue of basketball, the East was so terrible during that period. I know some people may say that it's LeBron that made it look terrible, but really, who was the best player? Who was the second best player in the East at the point that LeBron was reaching the finals all those years? Who was the second best player? Probably who? DeRozan. Who else? Paul George. I mean, like there was really no competition for the guy. So it was just straight through to the final. It's still great accomplishments though, but it's not really something that you should be using as a GOAT criteria.
is the same thing, or even close to the same thing, as winning a title. Take a prime example from another sport, the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team in NFL history to appear in 4 consecutive Super Bowls.
And also lost.
But is there a single player or fan of that team that wouldn't trade
For
all
one.
4 of those appearances for just one
Yeah.
Super Bowl win? Frankly, talk to any fan whose team lost the season's final game and ask them how they
I
felt
hate losing
afterward.
finals, man.
Almost universally, their feelings
I'd
are
rather-
sadness, anger,
I'd rather be
and
out
disappointment. And that's
In
just
semi-final,
the fans.
not
For
quarterfinals.
players, those feelings
So
are
I
only
can go and
magnified.
rest.
Listen to Charles Barkley talk about losing in the NBA Finals.
And I was just in shock when it was over because I had to. I was frustrated because I couldn't wheel my team past Michael and the Bulls. And first of all, I don't think I've ever gotten over it, number one. But that was traumatic, and it's painful.
Yeah.
So we can all stop with this false equivalence between winning the championship and finishing runner-up. In the words of Herm Edwards,
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
now
Tell
back
that
to
to
Jordan and
LeBron fans.
As mentioned, on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals, Jordan was 6-0. LeBron was 3-6. And frankly, that doesn't even show how lopsided their records really are. In terms of individual finals games, Jordan was 24-11. LeBron is 18-31. And that's because in 4 of his 6 finals losses, LeBron's team hasn't even been competitive. Twice he got swept, and 2 other times he lost 4 games to 1. That includes being on the wrong side of the 2 most lopsided finals by margin of loss in NBA history. Of course, LeBron fans will tell you that the only reason for LeBron's poor finals record is that his competition was so tough.
I know.
Ironically, some of these same fans criticized Jordan for losing early in his career to a Celtics team stacked with 5 Hall of Famers, and they conveniently gloss over the fact that LeBron reached the finals so many times in part because the competition in his own conference was so weak. During the vast majority of his career, LeBron played in what many dubbed the Leastern Conference because the East was so much weaker than the West. On the other hand, during Jordan's playing days, the East was generally considered the stronger conference, as Jordan had to battle through hard-fought rivalries against the Bad Boy Pistons,
Reggie
Patrick
Miller.
Ewing's Knicks, the Shaq Penny-led Magic, and Reggie Miller's Pacers. That said, if you want to blame LeBron's failure in the finals on the level of his competition, I won't argue with you. But let's also not blow it out of proportion. If you look at the average number of wins of their finals opponents, you'll see that LeBron's finals opponents averaged 60.8 wins per season, whereas Jordan's finals opponents averaged 61.2 wins per season. So as it turns out, both players faced stiff competition in the finals. But a big reason we don't hold the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, or the 98 Jazz in the same regard as some of LeBron's finals opponents is because, unlike LeBron's adversaries, Jordan's opponents never actually won the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Which goes to my original point, that the difference between winning the title and finishing runner-up is huge.
And that is true.
And the
Thinking
reason
about
those
it now,
teams-
Jordan was 6-0. So he basically made those guys like Charles Barkley and the rest obsolete. One title for Charles Barkley would have actually put him in like right now. I don't even know where most people rank Charles Barkley in the all-time list. Some people are even putting him out of the top 20, which is ridiculous. I've seen some lists by some of these analysts that have put him out of the top 20, which I really do not understand. But one title by him, just one, would have been enough to even put him in like top 15 or even close to top 10. But because he lost, we don't look at him the same way. So the reason why LeBron fans trying to make it seem like, oh, this is opponents, they were so good, they were too good for him. It's because those guys actually won. That is why. If LeBron was able to win those guys, probably go like maybe 9-0 or whatever. I think at that point, then the GOAT, whatever, would have been like, okay, the man was just too good. But this guy just be losing and losing and losing terribly. I mean, like, in the Miami Heat, he lost terribly. He had Chris Bosh, he had Dwayne Wade. I know most people try to say, Chris Bosh was not playing well anymore. That is a lie. He was not playing well anymore because he was playing with LeBron James. LeBron makes big men to become obsolete. When big men play with LeBron James, like, they have to actually leave the hoop, go and stand on the corner, because LeBron, like I said, doesn't really have skill. So he has to drive to the basket. If there's a big man in that center clogging the lane, he won't be able to do that. So most big men, you have Chris Bosh, you have Kevin Love, they had to leave the lane for LeBron to be driving to the basket. So that was the reason why Chris Bosh was not good anymore. Now I could give you Wade. Wade started getting some injuries, so maybe it wasn't, but it was still Dwayne Wade at the end of the day. It's not as if it was like 36-year-old Dwayne Wade. He was still in his early 30s. So I think LeBron fans just have a lot of excuses. Seriously.
Ever won the title? This guy. Look, I'm not trying to say that Jordan's opponents were as good as the Warriors teams that LeBron faced 4 times in the finals. The truth is that Jordan never played a juggernaut quite like that. But there's a pretty good reason for that. Jordan's Bulls were the juggernaut. They were the team winning 70-plus games. They were the team with the target on their back every year. And as the Warriors showed us, that's not an easy place to be. As great as the Warriors were, they were never able to string together 3 consecutive championships. Jordan's Bulls did it twice. So what's the greater achievement? Beating the juggernaut or being the juggernaut? Or to be more specific, beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them? or being the juggernaut year after year
And I know
after
some,
year.
sorry for pausing the video so much, but I know some LeBron fans who say, yeah, Jordan was the juggernaut because he had a stacked team. Well, that stacked team, he didn't sit down and say, okay, this is one of my biggest criticisms of LeBron James. This guy could just sit down in his house, look around the league. Who can I team up with? I mean, this is a luxury that the likes of Kobe and LeBron never had. Like, just sit down and look at the players. Like, okay, this guy fits me. This guy doesn't fit me. Okay, who can I join in this? I mean, look at that. I wish Kobe had that kind of opportunity. I really wish so. And to be fair to LeBron, I have to be fair. I think he's the guy that started the whole player empowerment stuff. So I get that it could give him that okay, he made it possible that players could actually choose their destiny. But I really do wish that people like Kobe and Jordan had this kind of opportunity where they could just sit down and handpick their teams. So Jordan may have been a juggernaut, but for example, his second best player before he played with Jordan, he was a nobody. Nobody needs Scottie Pippen. He had to actually develop in the Bulls. He wasn't like some guy that was shining in some of that team and LeBron team, and Jordan went to team up with him or maybe brought him to his team. No, the guy was not really good before he played with Jordan. So these guys were developed. Now I know they added Rodman, but Rodman was a defensive guy. It wasn't really like the guy that was scoring points. Though I agree that defense is very, very important. But even before Rodman, Jordan got a 3-peat. So I mean, it's ridiculous to me. Serious. This argument. I know LeBron has the likes of Nick Wright and Chris Broussard, hyping him on the media. So people that are growing up now, that's all that they're seeing. They don't really, man, it's ridiculous.
And then doing it again, year after year after year. There's no doubt that LeBron's victory over the 73-win Warriors was the highlight of his career. But it's not the first time that an underdog has won the championship, and there actually have been much bigger underdogs who ended up winning the title. But how many times have we seen a player lead his team to 6 championships in 8 years? Prior to Jordan's Bulls, only Bill Russell's Celtics ever accomplished that feat in the NBA, when they incredibly won 11 championships in 13 seasons. However, back then, there was an average of less than 10 teams in the league, and only a couple rounds of playoffs, so it was considerably easier to win a title. And no player, not even Bill Russell, ever had a run of winning 25 of 26 playoff series, as Michael Jordan did.
Wow.
And Michael's pattern of winning goes beyond the NBA. Let's not forget that Jordan has never won anything but gold in the Olympics, and he also earned an NCAA championship, in which he hit the first of 2 iconic championship-winning shots.
I'm not going to lie, like Olympics, I don't really think Olympics should come into any kind of GOAT, whatever, for any NBA player. To me, personally, the US is just too good at basketball. I know there are some teams that have been able to cause some upsets, and there are upsets for a reason. It wouldn't be an upset if it's not an underdog versus someone that's supposed to be winning. So, like, let's not try to, that part that I don't really, I would disagree with the video with that, in terms of, like, trying to use the fact that Jordan won't go through, and then maybe LeBron may have won a bronze somewhere or somewhere. But I can't put Olympics because the US are just too good.
His career. All that is to say, when it comes to winning,
Jordan,
the check mark
not even
clearly
close.
goes to Jordan. On to the 4th GOAT criteria, statistics. This one is a bit more complicated. I mean, how do you statistically evaluate 2 players who played in different eras under different rules at different positions? One way of doing it is to simply look at the 8 traditional statistics of basketball. Points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and turnovers. And we'll focus on per game stats rather than cumulative stats, since cumulative stats such as total career points and total career assists really speak to longevity, which is already its own category of the GOAT analysis. Per game stats, on the other hand, is more of an apples to apples comparison. So looking at the 8 traditional stats, we see that Jordan leads LeBron in 5 of them, points per game, steals per game, blocks
This
per
is
game.
like in that my Jordan video, I said it. This is the part I really do not like. This rebounds. LeBron is 6'9". He's 6'9". He should even have more rebounds than this. Seriously. 6'9", 250, 260. He should have more rebounds than this. So he's over Jordan in terms of rebounds, but he died just because he's taller and he's bigger.
Free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers. LeBron leads in the other three: assists per game, rebounds per game, and field goal percentage. But that's a pretty simplistic way of looking at statistics.
I will only give him assists.
What if we instead turn to analytics? Probably the most well-known analytics stat is player efficiency rating, or PER for short. This metric was created by respected basketball analyst John Hollinger to give an overall rating to a player's performance based on traditional stats like the ones we just mentioned. Jordan has led the league in PER 7 times, LeBron 6 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in PER 10 times, LeBron 9 times. In fact, Jordan has the highest career PER in both the regular season and the playoffs. Another popular analytics stat is win shares. Jordan has led the league in win shares 8 times, LeBron 5 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in win shares 11 times.
This
LeBron
is not close.
6 times. And when it comes to win shares per 48 minutes, Jordan has the highest career rating in both the regular season and the playoffs.
Man!
What about box plus minus? Until recently, LeBron was actually ahead of Jordan in career box plus minus. But after the 2017 season gave Russell Westbrook the greatest single-season box plus minus in history by a wide margin, the architect of box plus minus realized that the stat was fundamentally flawed.
Why?
So he made some changes to
Why
improve
do you
its
do
formula.
Westbrook like that? Just because Westbrook did it, you're not trying to alter the formula. What the hell? Westbrook just catching stress all over the place.
As a result, Michael Jordan now has the highest career box plus minus in both the regular season
I don't
and
really
the
like that
playoffs.
though. I mean, you shouldn't be
And
changing
lastly,
something.
what
Anyway.
about value over replacement player, which on its face seems to favor LeBron James? Well, value over replacement player is a cumulative stat, and as previously noted, cumulative stats speak more to longevity than they do game-to-game dominance. That said, according to value over replacement player, Jordan owns 6 of the 9 greatest individual seasons ever played. And on a per-game basis, MJ's career rating in value over replacement player is the highest of all time in both the regular season and the playoffs. Are you noticing a theme here? Not only does Jordan beat LeBron in every ratable analytic stat, he consistently ranks as the best ever across the board. Before we move
At this
on
point,
from
it seems Jordan is becoming
I want to
underrated.
mention a lesser-known
Seriously.
stat called game score, another brainchild of John Hollinger. Game score measures a player's performance in a single game, so it won't tell us who's had the better career, but it does provide insight into who's had the greatest games. Now, we only have game score stats since 1983, so you won't see any mentions of Wilt Chamberlain here. That said, of the 100 highest game scores ever recorded, incredibly 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan. In other words, nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best single-game performances over the last 4 decades has been by MJ. That includes the highest game score of all time for Jordan's 69.18 rebound masterpiece. Comparatively, LeBron has had only 3 of the top 100 game scores. When discussing the GOAT, Nick Wright is fond of asking this question.
The aliens come down. You have 1 game to save humanity. Who's your first pick in the history of the world?
Well, Nick,
It has to be
I think
it's Jordan,
we have our
man.
answer.
What the hell?
Now that I've finished drowning you in numbers, let's be real. Hardly anyone watching this video knows how to calculate PER, win shares, box
I'm
plus
just following
minus,
what he's saying.
value over replacement player, or game score. And why should you? This is basketball, not Goodwill Hunting. So let's go back to the traditional stats that we all know and understand. But this time, let's add context to them. What do I mean by context? Well, some positions are simply better than others at racking up certain stats. Let's take rebounding as an example.
What did
In
I
a
say?
vacuum, if we simply compare the number of rebounds per game of Brook Lopez and Jason Kidd, we might think that Lopez was the better rebounder. The truth is, relative to their position,
And height.
Lopez is statistically one of the worst rebounding centers in NBA history, whereas Kidd is statistically one of the best rebounding guards in NBA history.
Not just
But
that,
even
height
a poor rebounding center can grab more rebounds than a great rebounding guard solely by virtue of their
and
roles on
height.
the court.
It's
So it
forgetting
makes
height.
sense that, to understand the context of a player's stats, we should compare them to the respective positions that they played. When comparing LeBron James to the other small forwards who have played at least 500 NBA games, this is where he ranks. Overall, that's pretty impressive.
Wait, who is he
Now
behind
let's
in
see how
points?
Jordan compares to all shooting guards who have played at
Guys,
least
tell me in
500
the comments, who is he
NBA
behind
games.
in points?
As good as LeBron is compared to other small forwards, Jordan is on another level when compared to other shooting guards. He's darn near the top of every major statistical category, and there isn't a single category where LeBron is better than MJ relative to his
Wait,
position.
look at this, look at
other
this,
than
look at
assists.
this. I'm actually surprised by LeBron's field goal percentage and blocks being 17th in terms of small forwards. I'm surprised, I won't lie. Like, I may sound like I hate LeBron, but I'm still a logical person at the end of the day. Blocks. I mean, small forwards used to block like that. I mean, small forwards, right? This is surprising. I won't lie. I will not lie. This is surprising. Blocks, field goal percentage. Okay, free throw. The guy is terrible at free throws, so that is understandable. He's really, really terrible at free throws. Terrible player at free throws. Rebounds. I'm actually surprised by the rebounds as well, though not as surprised as the blocks and field goal percentage. I'm actually surprised, very, very surprised by that. Steals, I'm not really surprised. Points, I would like to know who is ahead of him in points, though I'm pretty sure he has probably passed the person by now, definitely. But even at that point, who scored more points than LeBron? Let's say, like, this video is 4 years old, right? Scored more points than LeBron at that point. I don't think so. Obviously, there was someone, but I'm trying to think of the person. I don't know the person.
So to sum up statistics, whether comparing traditional stats or analytics, and especially when judging these players in the context of the positions they played, Jordan has a noticeable edge over LeBron. As such, we have to give the check mark to Jordan.
This thing is not close.
And that takes us to the last category in our
Eye
GOAT
test,
analysis,
which is
the
where I
eye
come in.
test. If you sat an average basketball fan in front of a TV to watch a player in action, what would he notice that the player is and is not great at? Thankfully, I happen to be an average basketball fan, and I've had the privilege of watching both LeBron and Jordan during their playing days. So unlike a lot of my fellow YouTubers, I haven't merely relied on highlight videos. Here's what my eyes told me when I saw Michael Jordan play, particularly during his playing days with the Chicago Bulls. He was the
This guy
best
must be
offensive
old.
player in the game. He was arguably the best defensive
Yeah,
player
that
in the
is true.
game. He had the best mid-range game. He was the best finisher at the rim. He had the best post-up game, which is
A big
incredible
man.
considering most players who dominated the post were big men. He was widely considered the most clutch player in the game. He was regarded by opponents as the fiercest competitor on the court. He was regarded by teammates as the hardest worker in
Crazy.
practice. And when all was said and done, amongst the other stars of his generation, he was the greatest winner. Now, when you're playing against the elite of the elite athletes of the world, to be the best at any one of those things is pretty remarkable. But to be
Crazy.
the best at all of them, I'd tell you it's impossible, but for the fact that we saw Michael Jordan do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron, compared to a guy who was great at everything and practically had no weaknesses. Seriously, judging by the eye test, what's the worst thing we could say about Michael Jordan's game? Probably that he wasn't a very good three-point shooter. Jordan shot 33% from beyond the arc in an era when the average player also shot 33%. So when it
It
came
was
to three-point
average, I
shooting,
guess.
he wasn't good, he wasn't bad, he was just average. But remember that Michael played in an age when the three-point shot wasn't a big part of the game. During Jordan's years, teams averaged only 9.5
That is
three-point attempts per
crazy.
game, and Michael himself
Players
attempted less than
average
2
that in a
threes per
season
game.
now.
And if being an average three-point shooter is a weakness of Michael's game, well, then we also have to call it a weakness of LeBron's game. The difference is that LeBron plays in an era where the three-point shot is a huge part of the game. During the years in which LeBron played, teams attempted on average over 21 threes per game. And
That's
LeBron
madness.
himself averaged 4.3 three-point attempts per game, or 2.5 times as many as Jordan. Despite the increased emphasis on threes, LeBron's career shooting percentage from beyond the arc is only a hair better than Jordan, at 34%. and it's actually slightly below his peers, who averaged 35% from 3 during his era. But to reiterate, being an average three-point shooter was by far the worst part of MJ's game. For LeBron, it's not even close. LeBron, in fact, has 4 major weaknesses as a basketball player, each of which is readily apparent to anyone who has actually watched him play.
Free
First,
throws.
he's not a good free throw shooter. For his career, LeBron has shot around 73.5%
terrible at free throws. Not
from the
average,
free throw line,
terrible.
which is pretty poor for a player who handles the ball as much as he does. In fact, many analysts point out that at the end of games, LeBron shies away from driving to the basket because he's afraid of being sent to the line.
That's true.
I don't know whether
It's
that's
true.
true, but what I do know
I've
is
seen
that
it
the
with
odds
my
of LeBron
eyes.
hitting 2 consecutive free throws is statistically not much better than a coin flip. Jordan, on the other hand, shot a solid 83.5% from the free throw line during his career, and MJ never shied away from contact at the end of games. LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some
that
years
play
where
was
he
very
elite
funny.
defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, but he's also had several years where he's practically been a liability on the defensive end. Compare that to MJ, who during his Bulls days was a consistently elite defender. In fact, Jordan is the only player to rank in the top 5 amongst all guards in both steals per game and blocks per game for his career. Additionally, Michael led his position in defensive win shares practically every year that he played for the Bulls, an incredible 10 times.
That's crazy.
LeBron, comparatively, has led his position in defensive win shares on just 4 occasions, and in 5 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't even crack the top 10 at his position in defensive win shares. Now, some will excuse
But
LeBron's
I'll give LeBron, like, he was a great defender in his prime. Like, I cannot lie about that one. Like, he was a great defender in his prime. The last 2-3 years, to me, LeBron has not been a plus on the court. I know most people just look at his points. Like last season, for example, last season he got close to 30 points per game or so. But to me, it wasn't a plus on the court. If he scored 30 points, he probably gave up more than 30 points during the game, in my opinion, from what I saw. So, like, but that can be excused. He's in his late 30s. He shouldn't even be playing at this point. At this point, most players have already, like, given up. So the fact that he's still playing and still being good is commendable, but he's been terrible at defense in the last 2 to 3 years or so. It's been awful.
On the defensive end as a byproduct of his resting on defense so that he can have more energy on offense. And we can debate the merits of that strategy.
It's true, though.
But
It's true.
resting on defense is not
I have to
something
be
Michael
fair.
Jordan was ever accused of doing. Heck, even as a 40-year-old, he was busting his tail on the defensive
Are you sure
end.
about that?
But what about the notion that LeBron's been the more versatile defender? LeBron supporters will argue that he can guard positions 1 through 5 on the court, such as when he guarded Derrick Rose for stretches in the 2011 playoffs. But LeBron's guarding the opposing team's point guard or center isn't something that happens very often. In fact, during his career, LeBron has spent less than 5% of his total minutes guarding the opposing players 1 or 5.
Wow.
So the versatility argument is highly exaggerated.
Okay.
And look, when it comes to versatility, Hometown Buffet may have a more versatile menu than Spot
Oh,
but
God.
it doesn't make it a better
What
restaurant.
the hell?
LeBron's third weakness is that he's not a very good shooter. And this is a pretty significant flaw for someone claiming to be career field goal percentage is 50.4% compared to Jordan's 49.7%. But recall what I said about placing stats into
Yes.
proper context.
LeBron dunks a lot.
To help us understand
Most of
context
his-
when it comes
most
to
of his
shooting,
points are in
allow me
the-
to
are in
introduce
the
DeAndre
lane, most of
Jordan
his
and
points.
Tyson Chandler. We all know that DeAndre and Tyson
Yeah.
were great
Good
rebounders and
examples.
defenders. But what if I told you that they were also 2 of the greatest shooters of all time? That would be certifiably crazy. Yet if you
But
look
it's
at
true,
all the
yeah.
shooting metrics, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, true
Crazy.
shooting
DeAndre
percentage,
Jordan.
both of these guys rank near the top in NBA history. Of course, there's an obvious reason for that. As we all know, both DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler take a lot of their shot attempts on dunks, layups, and putbacks, which are extremely high percentage shots. Well, guess what? So does LeBron James. In fact, every single year of his career, the shot that LeBron James has taken the
What
most
the
has been
hell?
within 0 to 3 feet from the
What
basket.
the hell?
In other words, dunks, layups, and putbacks.
It's even worse than
More
I
than
thought.
One of every 3 of LeBron's shots has been within this point-blank range, which is aided by his playing in an era where it's been relatively easy
And
to
it's
get to the
bigger.
rim, particularly when compared to the physical era in which Jordan played. And just like every other player, LeBron is really effective from 0 to 3 feet, hitting over 73% of these shots. But how does LeBron fare from outside this range? According to basketballreference.com, LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet is 37.5%. It's even poorer in the playoffs where he shoots 35.9%.
Dude!
And it gets even worse.
It's over. It's over. I'm not watching this again. This is ridiculous. What the hell? Shots outside of 3 feet. 37%. What? Dude, guys, I'm actually very shocked. Like I didn't expect this. I knew that it was terrible outside the lane. I know most of his shots, like I said, all he does is drive to the basket, like I said. But I didn't know it was this bad outside the lane. What the This is someone I think you can learn basketball. You can't learn basketball from him. You can't, like, let's say you're someone that is 6'1", 6'2". You don't have his physical gifts and you want to learn basketball. Can you actually go and meet Lebron James to teach you how to play basketball? Seriously. Let's be real here. This guy has no skill. Seriously. He's just gifted. He's a cyborg. That's just it. He's a cyborg. I have to admit that one. He's a cyborg. He's incredible when it comes to the way his body is arranged. Even when he runs, like if you see his body, his the mechanics of his run, everything. The guy is, I think he's perfect. He's perfect physically. He's perfect. But that is all it is. Jeez.
Close and late situations. In the last 2 minutes of games where the score is within 5 points, LeBron hits only 31.7% of his jumpers. Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that these numbers aren't very good, which is probably why in the 2013 finals, the Spurs' defensive strategy against the Heat was to basically dare LeBron James to shoot. And keep in mind, this was against LeBron in his prime. Can you imagine an opposing coach using a similar strategy against MJ? Now, LeBron actually credits the Spurs for forcing him to work on his jump shot, but it's not as if his results have gotten much better since then. Here's LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet over the last 6 years. Yikes.
Jeez.
Well, I'll give him this, he is consistent. For comparison, consider that in the last year of Michael Jordan's career, as an aging player on the Washington Wizards, Jordan shot close to 42% from outside 3 feet. While that's certainly not great, it means that even as a 40-year-old shell of his former self, Jordan was still a better shooter, a far better shooter
in his
than
prime.
LeBron James. Unfortunately, Basketball Reference doesn't have advanced shooting metrics from Michael's Bulls days, when he was a significantly more efficient scorer. But few would argue that Michael was anything but a lethal jump shooter when he was wearing red and black. When it comes to shooting, all of us can recall practicing shots on the blacktop, counting down 3, 2, 1, before launching a shot at the rim. Well, if you were pretending to be LeBron James, you'd brick almost 2/3 of the time. Actually, that's not entirely true. If you were playing against a countdown, it would be much, much worse. And that gets me to the last major weakness of LeBron's game, his performance, or more accurately, lack of performance, in the clutch. Remember when people were praising LeBron for making a couple of buzzer beaters in the playoffs 2 years ago? They used these stats to claim that LeBron was better in the clutch than Jordan. But look at these numbers carefully. What stands out to you? How about this? People were using a sample size of less than 1 shot per season to make the case that LeBron was more clutch than Jordan. That would be the equivalent of polling just 100 people in the country to try to predict the winner of the next presidential election. So let's use more telling stats, shall we? Here's a situation that's often used to determine a player's clutchness. 5 seconds to go in the fourth quarter or overtime, and your team needs a bucket to either win or tie the game. It answers the age-old question, who do you want
Definitely
to take
not
the
LeBron.
last shot with the game
Definitely
on the line?
not.
It turns out that in the regular season and playoffs combined, LeBron has taken 94 such shots. That's a pretty good sample size. And how many of those 94 shots has LeBron made? 19, for a shooting percentage of 20%. Let me repeat that. 20%. Guys, that's not bad in the clutch. That's atrocious. Michael Jordan in the same situation shot roughly 50%.
What the hell?
Yes, that's right. Jordan's
I'm actually
performance
surprised
under
by that.
pressure was the same as it was throughout the rest of the game.
Jeez.
And that, my friends, is the definition
This
of
guy is incredible.
So there you go.
I don't know Kobe's
When
own
it comes
though.
to
Maybe
the
Kobe.
eye test, our eyes tell us that one player, Michael Jordan, is great at everything and has practically no weaknesses. And the other player, LeBron James, while also having a ton of strengths, has several obvious flaws to his game. And when all is said and done, after analyzing the 5 key factors of being the GOAT, Jordan gets 4 check marks to LeBron's 1, making this GOAT debate, well, not much of a debate at all.
Seriously.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that LeBron James is a bad player.
Let me also make it very clear as well, because a lot of people may see my video, the Jordan video, and this video, and think I'm saying that LeBron is a terrible player. Like I keep saying here, he's a physical god, like God in small letter, and but that's what makes him great. That's my point. In terms of the basketball itself, like the game itself, the basketball, the only thing that I can actually say that makes LeBron great is his passing genius. I think he has that. I can accept that one. He has passing genius. But outside of that, he's just a 6'9", 260 freight train that drives to the basket almost every minute. That's it. That's just it. Like I don't know, like I've been watching basketball for the past 10 years at least. So, and I watched him in his prime. And I will admit that he was so great. But let's say I'm some average guy like I was. Just how I'm following, trying to learn NFL, NHL, and all these other sports on my channel. As an average guy, I just started saying, let me start watching basketball like I did. And I looked at several players, saw Kobe, saw Lebron, saw other players, saw Durant. There was nothing that attracted me to LeBron. Seriously, I just saw a guy that was physically gifted. I didn't really see any skill. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being ignorant or I'm misguided. I don't know, but I'm someone that values skill more than physical gifts, because I don't have physical gifts. So I will always value someone that may not have the physical gifts, but has more skill. I always value that.
Phenomenal player. Personally, I have him on basketball's Mount Rushmore, along with Jordan, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell. He's just not Michael Jordan.
Well, I mean, I don't have him
To
on my Mount
how
Rushmore.
good MJ was, let's ignore LeBron and
I guess I
Jordan
hate
for a
him.
minute and focus on the other 3 players highlighted here, Kareem, Wilt, and Bill Russell. Most would agree that these are the 3 greatest centers in NBA history, and each of them has a strong case to justify his standing among basketball royalty. Wilt is an all-time great because he was an offensive force of nature, and he holds a ton of NBA records.
Records that
Russell
cannot
is
be
in the
broken.
conversation because he was a dominant defender and a perennial champion. Kareem also led his team to numerous titles, and in terms of individual awards and accolades, was the most decorated of the 3. Not to mention, he had the NBA's most unguardable shot. Now imagine a center that had all the best qualities from these 3 titans. A player like that would be the basketball equivalent of Thanos. Now add to that player the highest level of intangible attributes, such as a tireless work ethic, unmatched killer instinct, and an ability to deliver in the clutch.
Whoa, look at that. That's Jordan, right? Offensive force, many NBA records, dominant defender, perennial champion, accolades, unguardable shot. Does he have an unguardable shot? I don't think Jordan has an unguardable shot though. Tireless work ethic, yeah. Excellent fundamentals, yes. Killer instincts, yes. Ultra competitive, yes. Clutch, yes. Okay.
And now you'd essentially be looking at Thanos with all of the Infinity Stones, and no one would question whether this player was the greatest of all time. But the truth is, we don't have to imagine such a player. That player already existed. He just happened to be a shooting guard, not a center. When you think about it, Michael Jordan is the real-life version of an overpowered video game character. He had all the qualities we look for in a superstar athlete, and he had it in spades. He's basically Babe Ruth, if Babe Ruth played defense like Willie Mays. And that's why, even in comparison to the other all-time greats, he is truly in a class of his own. Simply put, he's the GOAT.
Accepted. Wow, guys, that wasn't even close. Wasn't close one bit. I mean, the fact that this is even a debate means LeBron has so many media cronies. Seriously, like, and I know as a Kobe fan, maybe by accomplishments, you know, MVPs and all that stuff, LeBron has all those things more than Kobe. I can admit that. But like I told you guys, I'm only interested in what I'm watching. And from what I'm watching, LeBron doesn't really have any skill like that. He's just a big 6'9", 260 guy. That is just how I see him. Yeah, he has some passing genius to him, but that is all. So I can admit, if you have the argument that it's better than Kobe or whatever, that is your opinion. My own opinion is that Kobe is better. That is my own opinion. He's more skillful. It's just that he wasn't 6'9", 260. I mean, I can't imagine. Let's say I want to learn basketball. I can't learn from LeBron. What is he going to teach me? Drive to the basket. He can't teach me anything. But at least Kobe could teach me something. May his soul rest in peace. He could teach me something. He could teach me moves, teach me all those gym shake he used to do. I mean, Kobe had so many moves, man. So, but Kobe aside, when it comes to accomplishments and skill, it's not even close. In terms of Jordan, it's not close. I mean, look at that. Look at this video I just watched. The only accomplishment that LeBron has over Jordan is longevity. Any accomplishment, go and look at it. It has longevity to it. Every accomplishment. I can't think of any accomplishment that LeBron has that doesn't have longevity to it. If you're a LeBron fan and there's any like that, put it down in the comments. Let me see. There is none. Only longevity-driven achievements that LeBron has over Jordan. So this whole debate is so ridiculous. The fact that this is even a debate shows you how much power the media has. Ridiculous. Anyways, I really enjoyed the video. It just confirmed to me what I already knew anyway. But I hope you guys hit that like button on your way out. Even if you're a LeBron fan, I mean, it's still a nice video, so hit the like button for me. Don't dislike the video, guys. Don't dislike. At the end of the day, this is an opinion. It doesn't have to be something personal. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.